Hello everybody, welcome back to Legacy Percussion. This is video number 45 and I am Jerry Leake, your host, here to introduce you to some more unusual instruments that are part of a tune that I wrote. It happens to be the title track to my CD, Crafty Hands. And in this particular CD, it's a fusion of different styles, world tradition instruments, and etc. And it uses and introduces some instruments that we haven't seen before, most notably this particular drum called the sabar, which comes from Senegal. You'll also find it in Mali. And they play it with a stick in a hand, and there's various sizes that they'll use to incorporate a variety of melodic tones. This particular drum is featured with a long branch-like stick, which not only can give me sort of bounce strokes, but also heavy-duty rim shots. And I can use my other hand on the drum to kind of mute it. So we have muting with the fingers, muting with the hand, and then the hand, the weak hand, can play both bass tones, very vibrant. It's on, of course, a universal stand, so the bottom rings, and also kind of like open tones like a conga player would play. I have not really formally studied the instrument. I'm not able to give you a large history and breakdown. There's so much culture and context to explore in that realm, but I've had the pleasure of understanding and learning some basic strokes to create some sounds, and also a couple of box. Box are basically breaks or ways of segmenting the music with these dynamic syncopated phrases, which are learned and memorized and part of the repertoire. And I modified one of them to create the opening of this tune, and it appears periodically throughout the tune, especially also at the end. And it goes like this. Gra gu ga gu ga gra gu ga gu ga gu ga gu ga gu ga gra gu ga gu ga gra gu ga. That's where I end it. Even though it does continue, I decided to have that sort of as a short intro into the music, and it's played in stereo. I have two different drums overdubbed and layered to create the sound. So what we have is this. It actually begins after one. I gave you a hint. So 4. That's how the tune begins. Let's just try that again. 1, 2, here we have. Then the groove comes in. That pretty steady and consistent to kind of be the blanket of the tune with other elements coming in. So the sabar, very lovely, wonderful instrument, and it's bigger than I could possibly describe. But this gives you a sense of the two elements that I bring into this tune to begin the title track, Crafty Hands. I also have with me a cajon, and hopefully you'll be able to hear some of the low end that's on this guy. And what I do is, along with that particular groove, I bring in the bulerías, which is a flamenco style. Of course, the bulerías can be felt in a fast 12 or a 6, and also even in a kind of a 3 or a 3/4. And I'm using one of the particular styles or one of the particular phrases that goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My foot, we have I've studied a little bit of flamenco cajon and have had the pleasure of accompanying traditional music as well as exploring some of my contemporary approaches. But this was a nice way of combining these two sort of delicate elements that come in to build a tune. Later on, I do a simplified version of the bulerías like this. In the B section, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. You can almost think of that as in 3. Then back to the other. bit of improv on some of those styles. Cajon is such a lovely instrument, comes from Peru in its original form. And the flamenco, the Spanish, basically Paco de Lucia and his percussionists discovered it in Peru and brought it back to Spain, where they modified it as snares and brought it into flamenco music because it's such a dry and light and sweet tone, very percussive, but also light, very dry. It goes with the acoustic guitar and some of the strumming, and of course the footwork of the dancers. So again, combining some traditional core elements, but working them in with the sabar. Another thing that I bring into the tune is some of the Moroccan influences that are part of my background. And these are the karakab, or the castanets from Morocco, the metal castanets. And they're fairly loud and vibrant, and they're rather heavy too. And you kind of get into this lilting triplet. Even this is a straight running triplet, so this would be a little incorrect. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. And the idea is to create kind of a swing to it, or a bit of a lilt. Three, 4, 1. So it's not quite binary, and it's not quite straight triplet. It's got that little bit of a lilt, that kind of a gap between the second and third hit. Very much in the style of the kind of the Ghanaian music from Morocco. And I've had the pleasure of working with various musicians who've introduced me to the karakab. Also the bendir. I play the bendir in a variety of styles. You've seen some of the earlier videos when I play the large tar. The bendir is another type of tar. You can take the tar, if you add some snares, then you have what would be basically the sound of the bendir. I have a very large one too with jingles, but for this particular tune, I introduced this particular pattern, which is very interesting in that it's hard to hear where the one is when it's all by itself. So it feels like it's on the downbeat. And 1 and 2. Turns out in 12/8, none of these hits that you just heard are actually on any of the beats. So if this is the beat, we would have 1. So it's basically hitting the third triplet for the first beat, and then the second triplet of each of the second, third, and fourth beats. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. The best way to feel this groove is to literally be moving and kind of dancing as you play. Getting up and just feeling it. That's true for the karakab. The Moroccan music is so deep and in the traditional context, and even some of the more contemporary approaches. It's really mind-bending. Kind of the sort of the mystery behind where it is to the beat and also the downbeat itself. So some of the elements that are part of this tune, Crafty Hands, I bring in a song called Ava de Se from the AOA tradition. That's treated quite a bit with some of the AOA aspects, the bell pattern we've heard before. It gets into the B section where other things are introduced, which are more that I'd like to kind of get into at this moment. But you get a sense of these 4 additional instruments that combine the African meets the flamenco sort of cajon style. Then you have the North African, the Moroccan influences brought in, and with some wonderful playing by Randy Roos on guitar and bass, and really becomes quite an opening for the tune. So definitely go to the link and check out the a little excerpt to listen to. And of course, you're welcome to download the track for a small fee, and it's certainly loaded with tons of music. So hope you've enjoyed this little demonstration of some other styles that as we work our way to the end of the series, and I hope to see you soon for the next. Take care and happy drumming.